they dropped another video pertaining to AOC. Yeah, AOC just said the most disappointing thing
I'm
ever.
trying to figure out what leverage we actually have.
AOC says primary
I'm trying to figure out
challenge
what
to
leverage we
Hakeem
actually
Jeffries
have.
is a bad
What leverage do we
idea.
have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government. I'm trying to
Hakeem
figure
of
out what
New
leverage we
York,
actually have.
Congressman of New York.
What leverage do we have? They control the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It's their government.
It's real puppets,
What leverage
Hakeem.
do we have?
It's real puppets, Hakeem.
I'm
It's
trying to
real
figure out what
puppets,
leverage we actually
Hakeem.
have. What leverage
Hakeem.
do we have? They control the
Hakeem
House, the
is
Senate,
a
and the
puppet
presidency.
of
It's their
Israel.
government.
He takes money
What
from
leverage do we
APAC.
have?
It is crazy.
I'm trying to figure out what leverage we actually have. What leverage? I'm trying to figure out what leverage
They said
we
his
actually
campaign
have.
was
What leverage do we have? They
was
control the
getting
House, the
funded
Senate, and
by
the presidency. It's their
Epstein.
government.
Crazy.
What? I'm trying
His
to figure out
campaign
what
was
leverage
funded
we actually
by
have.
Epstein.
What leverage
His
do we have?
campaign
They
was
control the
funded
House, the Senate,
by
and the
Epstein.
presidency.
His
It's their
campaign was
government.
funded by
What
his
leverage do we
campaign
have?
was funded by Epstein.
Real leadership right there. That was a clip
Yeah,
of
the
House Minority
sarcasm
Leader
of
Hakeem
Anna
Jeffries,
is
of
great.
course, the Democratic House Minority Leader, from earlier this year, which was embarrassing for Democratic voters for obvious reasons. Now, despite Democratic House Minority Leader from earlier this year, which was real leadership right there. That was a clip
Yeah,
of
she's
House
so
Minority
funny,
Leader
bro.
Hakeem Jeffries, of course,
No
the
BS.
Democratic
No
House Minority
BS.
Leader,
No
from earlier this
BS.
year,
She's
which
so
was
funny.
embarrassing for Democratic
She's
voters
so funny, yo.
for obvious reasons. Now, despite widespread criticism, Democratic House Minority Leader from earlier. Real leadership right there. That was a clip of House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, of course, the Democratic House Minority Leader, from earlier this year, which was embarrassing for Democratic voters for obvious reasons. Now, despite widespread criticism of his leadership, if you want to call it that, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez apparently does not believe he should be primaried. Your 2 cents, Jake.
She's bugging.
Well, I was there
Weak.
when we started primarying
AOC,
Joe Crowley,
she has to be
one of
drunk,
the top Democratic leaders,
inebriated to
with
say this.
AOC.
Oh, they got the Jenks
Well, I'll
2
tell you about
cents
that after you.
there again. Dope.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez apparently does not believe he should be
She
primaried. Your 2
is
cents, Jake.
tripping.
Well, I was there
AOC,
when we
AOC,
started
AOC,
primarying
what
Joe
are you
Crowley,
saying?
one of the top Democratic leaders, with.
Your 2 cents, Jake.
Well, I was there when we started primarying Joe Crowley, one of the top Democratic leaders, with AOC. Well, I'll tell you about that after you hear this.
So why exactly is AOC defending Hakeem Jeffries, especially since she was elected specifically to challenge milquetoast, pathetic politicians such as himself? Well, in a statement, well, let's start with this, actually. So New York City Council member AOC just filed paperwork to run for the House of Representatives in Jeffries' district. Now, in a statement, he told Axios the following, okay? Democratic leadership is not only failing to effectively fight back against Donald Trump, they have also failed to deliver a vision that we can all believe in. I think a lot of Democratic voters read a comment like that, and it really does resonate. However, it's worth noting that Osei stated he is only exploring a run right now, so he's not certain to challenge Hakeem Jeffries. He hasn't fully committed. As for AOC, Ocasio-Cortez told Axios during a brief interview at the U.S. Capitol that she was not aware that Osei was challenging Jeffries, but she added, I certainly don't think a primary challenge to the leader is a good idea right now. Well, when would it be a good idea? And And look, she's not the only progressive who doesn't want Osei to run and challenge Hakeem Jeffries. I'll get to all of them in just a minute, but before I do, Jane.
Yeah, no, I don't mind the other folks because they might have a legitimate reason and they might be acting strategically. And I don't know anything about Osei, so I'm not vouching for anyone.
Same.
I'm not saying what the exact right strategy here is. But when it comes to AOC, that was a little bit clearer. Why? Because we formed Justice Democrats. I was one of the co-founders. And the point of Justice Democrats was to get progressives into Congress. And when they got there, they were supposed to open the gates. So how would you open the gates? Well, now that you've done a spectacular, miraculous victory like AOC did against who, as we mentioned earlier, Joe Crowley, who was in Democratic leadership. In fact, most people thought that Crowley was going to be the next Speaker of the House after Nancy Pelosi. So he was literally supposed to have Hakeem Jeffries' job until AOC defeated Democratic leadership. In fact, most people thought that Crowley was going to be the next Speaker of the House after Nancy Pelosi. So he was literally supposed to have Hakeem Jeffries' job until AOC defeated him in a primary. And when we were running those primaries, so part of the reason I started Justice Democrats is because I asked all the other left-wing groups in D.C., is anyone primarying incumbents? And the answer was a no, because they were all scared. They did not get permission to primary incumbents. Well, that was the whole point of Justice Democrats. We're not asking permission. We're just doing it, right? And we're aggressive, and we're going to capture the Democratic Party and bring it over to the Bernie Sanders image, generally speaking, of what we thought was economic populism. So AOC gets in, and that's when she's supposed to help all the other new challengers, challenging incumbents, just like she was, right? But as soon as she gets in, all of a sudden there's reluctance. But these are my colleagues. Oh my God. Who cares about your colleagues? They would have said the same thing about
scared, craven, trepid, timorous.
And now
the timidity is crazy within AOC.
How do you not see the irony?
Well, to me, this is my read of what's happened with AOC. First of all, I think throughout her tenure, she's had maybe a good take on some policies, but horrible political instincts. That's my take on it. Putting that aside, though, at this current moment, I really do think she is preparing to run for higher office. Now, whether that's going to be Chuck Schumer's seat in the Senate, or some people think she might even run for president in 2028. I really hope she doesn't. I don't think she's ready for that.
She's super woke, AOC, a radical leftist.
Or some people think she might even run for president in 2028. I really hope she doesn't. I don't think she's ready for that.
AOC.
But nonetheless, if that is what she's preparing for,
she's a great communicator, though. She has energy, swag. She resonates with the youth, with the young group of Democrats. Yes.
Because we all know that if the Democratic establishment
she has the elocution chops, the articulacy chops. Yes, but her, a lot of things she is in favor of are really deleterious, to
run for higher office. Now, whether that's going to be Chuck Schumer's seat in the Senate, or some people think she might even run for president in 2028. I really hope she doesn't. I don't think she's ready for that. But nonetheless,
I share your sentiment.
Well, maybe she's trying to keep her powder dry. Maybe she's trying to maintain a positive, friendly relationship with Democratic leadership, so she gets the type of support that would be necessary.
It is craven to me, though. It is craven what
AOC
is doing.
Establishment wants to work against you. Oh, they will crush you. There's no question.
Well, in the old days, they would have crushed you.
Necessary for that kind of run to be successful. Because we all know that if the Democratic establishment wants to work against you, oh, they will crush you. There's no question.
Well, in the old days, they would
incontrovertibly. Incontrovertibly.
Nowadays, they don't have any power to
friendly relationship with Democratic leadership, so she gets the type of support that would be necessary for that kind of run to be successful. Because we all know that if the Democratic establishment wants to work against you, oh, they will crush you. There's no question.
Well, in the old days, they would have crushed you. But she's not. That's why her instincts are all wrong. Nowadays, they don't have any power to crush anyone. This is when you should be most aggressive against them.
Yeah.
Right.
But she's their friend now. She's their colleague now. She's
Buddy.
And
And
she
that's
has
the other
things
part
to
of it.
gain from them now. Let's be honest.
Weak.
Let's be honest about it. So the whole point of Justice Democrats was to break Democratic leadership,
The verge.
not to cozy up to them. So if you've cozied up to them, you missed the whole point of the organization. It wasn't to help your beloved corporate colleagues. It just wasn't. You're totally wrong about it.
Yeah.
So I don't care what you want to run for, and I want you to run for Senate. I think that makes sense, but I don't know. Maybe you're asking, waiting for permission from Chuck Schumer. I don't know.
Chuck
But you seem to
Schumer.
love this Democratic leadership that now not just progressives, not just populists or outsiders, but almost all the Democrats. Waiting for permission from Chuck Schumer. I don't know, but you seem to love this Democratic leadership that now not just progressives. Waiting for permission from Chuck Schumer. I don't know, but you seem
Another
to love this Democratic
APAC
leadership that now not just progressives.
money
Not just
receiver.
populists or outsiders, but
Cuck
almost all the Democratic
Schumer.
voters hate. Now you're the last one to join the party. You were supposed to be the. I don't care what you want to run for, and I want you to run for Senate. I think that makes sense, but I don't know. Maybe you're asking, waiting for permission from Chuck Schumer. I don't know, but you seem to love this Democratic leadership that now not just progressives, not just populists or outsiders, but almost all the Democratic voters hate. Now you're the last one to join the party. You were supposed to be the first one to join the party. You were supposed to start the party.
Yeah. So, look, this is my take on primaries in general. I think you should always be welcoming of primaries, of all primaries,
Yes.
not just of Hakeem Jeffries. I think if you speak out against a primary challenger, especially as someone who has built a career as a result of being a primary challenger to a pathetic Democrat, it just looks really bad.
Yeah.
Because if Hakeem
Corny,
Jeffries is a great
trash,
leader, if his
crappy,
constituents, the Democratic voters in his district, feel like he's
hateable,
done a great job representing him, well, then he's got nothing to worry about. But apparently, he just doesn't want to have to deal with a challenger on his own side, because he would, have to prove
He would
and
get
show
crushed.
that he is a good representative. So
He would
I
get
just
washed.
think this was a bad move by AOC. It's one
Smoked.
of the many foibles that we've seen from her. And, people get upset because they think, you're way too nice to someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has, a past that obviously I've been very critical of and I do not like. But lately she's been doing some pretty great things.
Of
and
integrity.
she deserves credit for it.
Yeah.
But understand
You give credit
that
where
as someone
credit
who
is
was
due.
a lifelong Democrat, as
And
someone
Anna
who really
is
did
logical
believe in AOC
for
in the early
doing
years,
this.
which was
She's not. Yeah.
some pretty great things, and she deserves credit for
It doesn't make
But
sense to
understand
be
that as
hostile for
someone
no
who was a
reason.
lifelong Democrat, as
To
someone
be
who really
difficult
did believe in AOC
for no
in the
reason.
early years,
To
when she was
please
first elected,
the
I have higher
goofies.
standards for her. It's kind of like the Israel-Hamas thing.
To please the
Israel
weak
has put
people.
itself in the position
The
of
fragile
we
people.
represent
The
civilization.
softies. The
And that's a
softies.
terrorist group. Oh, long Democrat. As someone who really did believe in AOC in the early years, doing some pretty great things, and she deserves credit for it.
Yes.
But understand that as someone who was a lifelong Democrat, as someone who really did believe in AOC in the early years when she was first elected, I had higher standards for her.
Yep.
It's kind of like the Israel-Hamas thing.
Yep.
Israel
Yep.
has put itself in the position of we represent civilization,
Morality.
and that's a terrorist group. Okay, well then there's
Well,
something that comes
Hamas
along
is
with that,
a terror
certain
group. Yes, this is true, but so is the IDF.
We represent civilization, and that's a terrorist group.
They starved
Okay, well then
so
there's
many
something
people.
that comes along
It
with
is
that,
crazy,
a certain
yo.
expectation
Purposely starved
that you
kids.
conduct yourselves
Nuts.
as a civilized country as opposed to barbarians. You get what we represent civilization, and that's a terrorist group. Okay, well then there's something that comes along with that, a certain expectation that you conduct yourselves as a civilized country
Yep.
as opposed to
You have to
barbarians.
behave like what
You
you
know?
say you are, what you profess. You have to behave the way you profess. You have to behave in the way. You have to behave the way you say you are, the way you say you embody. You have to behave. You have to behave in the way you say you embody, for sure. If you don't, you will be seen as hypocritical. Israel is hypocritical. The government, the military, the IDF.
We represent civilization, and that's a terrorist group. Okay, well then there's something that
There
goes
are
along
two
with that,
terror
a certain
groups,
expectation
IDF and
that you
Hamas.
conduct yourselves as a
Israel
civilized country
Defense
as
Forces
opposed to
and
barbarians.
Hamas. They're
You
both
get what I'm
terror
saying?
groups.
Yeah, if you're Israel, right?
They've
Israel.
both
So look,
harmed people, deleted
Marjorie
people
Taylor Greene
purposely.
has shown courage
Innocent
by
people.
challenging her own leadership. She challenged him so much, right? So look,
As a civilized country as opposed to barbarians. You get what I'm saying?
yeah, if you're Israel, right?
If you're Israel.
So look,
As a civilized country as opposed to barbarians. Along with that, a certain expectation that you conduct yourselves as a civilized country as opposed to
Yep.
barbarians.
Words.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
yeah, if you're Israel, right?
If you're Israel.
So look,
Based.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has shown courage by
Yes,
challenging
strength.
her own leadership.
Integrity.
She challenged him so
Bravery.
much, Donald Trump is now calling her Marjorie Traitor Greene.
Yeah,
And
traitor.
now, today in a
Rhino.
press conference, Marjorie Taylor Greene
Lost.
called Donald
She
Trump
lost
a traitor.
her way. She
That's representing a foreign
caters
government
to
instead
the
of a
Democrats.
Yeah.
So that's what
Drivel.
challenging leadership
Cockwash.
looks
Cod.
like. Okay?
Cod.
And
Cods.
Massey's the king of that, and now
Trash.
That's
Trash.
representing a foreign government
Trash.
instead of a first.
Trash.
so
Yo.
that's what
Trash.
challenging leadership
Trash.
looks like. Okay.
That's
Rubbish.
representing a foreign government instead of a
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
Pig swallow.
And now today in a press conference,